I've recently come into possession of an empty room, as one does. Excitingly, it means that I can finally have my very own sewing room. But I'm going to be spending the next few days making over this empty room into my dream sewing room, and I thought it would be lovely if you come along with me. We're in the attic of my very old cottage by the sea, and this was my daughter's room. It's very tired, needs a good clean and some paint. Get it all clean and fresh. We have the sort of the beamed roof here, and there's one little window over there. Scary. Like watching The Ring or something, having that in the room. Very worn old floor. I like that though. And a couple of bits of furniture that I need to sort out. And the water tank's in here, so these cupboards aren't actually functional. There's an amp that's going to a friend and a bin bag. Because, you know, let's make YouTube aesthetic. Or progress update. It's Sunday the 20th of February. The bare bones are here. Moved the furniture up. And all the bits and pieces, although I haven't moved all the actual stuff. Mildred enjoyed the first night in her new abode. And then my best guy friend came around and he helped me do all of this. I didn't do this all on my own. And he rigged up all my filming stuff. So here I can put my camera on here and film bird's eye things. I've got my lighting, which I can move along over the table. And then there's a bit of space down there, but I want to try and keep it as clean and light and airy. I don't just want to cram loads of stuff in. And then look, I've got a chair over there, a high stool that works with this table, which is just Ikea, actually, an Ikea tabletop. And I am going to paint that gloss black, but I must wait until it's completely dry to sit on it, because that would be disastrous. We come in. Mildred, one of my Mildreds is here. And then above, I'm going to be putting all my scrappy sketchbooks, but I found so many of them that I was a bit surprised at quite how obsessively I've made them over the years. If you want to see inside some of them, let me know, because I'd happily show you. And then I have a basket here, and this has got embroidery stuff and some felt wool for doll making. And I've still got a lot of stuff to sort out into boxes and storage and organise, but I'm going to have embroidery all in one, doll making in one, and like flower making-y stuff in another. I decided that a lot of my fabrics, I like them to be hanging. I like seeing them hanging. And everything's been stuffed away in bags and boxes for such a long time, and then I forget. And then I sort of get like overwhelmed, but because everything's sort of hanging here, it means I can action ideas. But on this rail, I'm going to just, obviously this is it's the attic, it's the 4th story of my cottage, and I think my cottage is from like the late 1600s, maybe early 1700s, or around 1700s. So still got some my daughter's stuff, and all my fabrics were in these bags. So I have done one cull of everything, but these are going to sort through again even more. But these are kind of less loved fabrics, and they're all just hiding behind there for the moment. We have some lovely leopard print from Missy Mop, some flowery viscose from blah 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 blah. Where did I get that from? Goldhawk Road. Vintagey one, you would have seen this recently if you are a regular watcher, which if you are, I love you very much, thank you. Another vintage fabric, quite a few of these you will have seen, but I've kind of put them on here on like a colour order, and I just feel suddenly my creative juices are well and truly flowing. There's some Panay silk viscose velvet, which is beautiful, that I bought for a bridal project and didn't end up doing it, but I'm gonna have to do something with that. Lovely 1940s fabric there. This one is a really pretty print, actually. This one my aunt gave me, and it's a Liberty Veruna wool from probably like the 70s, but it's lovely. There's enough there for some kind of top, blouse. Lovely silk. I think this is a reproduction fabric. Kind of looks quite Cath Kidston-y. Would have shown you this one, 50s sort of satiny green. Some green velvet, some teal velvet. How gorgeous is this? I bought this to make a dress and then got overwhelmed by the choices. My lovely friend who helped me actually put this shelf in here for me. So I've got cutting mat, paper, pattern master. I'm going to put tripods and things under there as well. I used to sort of fill this and it just got dusty and horrible. So I want to try and keep it as airy and light in here as possible, even though my inner vampiric soul kind of wants everything to be dark and cobwebby. It's actually really good to have a nice clean light space to work in. I have got a mood board that was hanging downstairs. This is sort of represents my bridally style and I like it. I actually want to put it in a frame and protect it a bit. Got some buttons and bits that need to be sorted, and this tin is filled with buttons, and this is from the Isabella Blow exhibition that happened at Somerset House quite a few years ago now. My chest of drawers that my great grandfather built, we've got sort of pattern cutting equipment in here, and this is going to be threads, and then stationery. So we have on the top shelf, here is a dish of sort of bridally trims and bits and pieces. I haven't actually sorted through that, I will. And there's a postcard from the Victor and Rolf exhibition that happened so many years ago. It was still to this day, I think, along with the Alexander McQueen exhibition, the best exhibition I've ever been to, because everything was on dolls and there was a giant doll's house with, you know, human-sized dolls in these pieces from their label, and it was just incredible. My daughter was very little at the time and she loved it. It's a card from my friend Baby Skins and Marie Claire magazine, which you will have seen my birthday episode way back when, and a roll of velvet. And my idea for these shelves is to kind of have it as a like a working mood board. So the current projects, the current things, current favourite fabrics and patterns and trims and bits and pieces and wool as well, to kind of create these stories so that I can stay very focused, so that when I'm planning my makes, it's a little bit easier and I've got everything there in front of me. Here are my patterns that you will be familiar with, possibly. And as you know, I have an obsession with these little Chinese, all of these ones are vintage. And actually, I haven't seen these around at all, but I've got like a very old vintage one. My pin pot. So I try to find nice things to put things in so that I enjoy using everything. Merchant & Mills lace pins. These are really good, these pins. There's buttons in here, and this is a vintage tin that looks like a thread spool with a needle. Really love that. My aunt gave that to me many years ago. Vintage threads. These bangles ready to do my vintage bag project. So this is my sort of current outfits that I want to make, current sort of bits and pieces, sort of like the mood board shelf, I suppose you could call it. And I've got my Liberty of London sewing box here. And in my sorting out, I found this lovely Best Way vintage book at ABC of smocking and gauging. And then there's the Liberty tea dress. So all the colours and ideas, not so much this colour, but how brilliant is that? It kind of goes together. And these, a lot of these fabrics you would have seen in the other week's spring sewing plans. So I've got my Liberty pattern there, and then the fabric so that I can make the zip dress, and then I've got the shirt dresses, and then I found some of my other vintagey fabrics, and then I'm going to make a shirt out of this, and little hinty hint, the smocking and the shirt sort of goes together. And then these are my knitting projects that I want to do. On these pattern hooks I've got my main scissors hanging, because it's better to hang them actually so that the ends don't get blunted. Paper, fabric, notches, so those are there. Tape measure there. You should never roll up your tape measures, you should always let them hang so that they don't stretch and they remain accurate. I've had a huge sort out of patterns because I had loads that I really was just never going to use. So I've got my favourite book here, the Pictorial Guide to Modern Home Dressmaking. Love this. And these little baskets, they're just plastic, but I do really like them. We're really cheap, just from a local pound shop. There's dresses in here. These are all vintage. So I put all my vintage patterns together at Vogue. A couple of nice 70s, but you could adapt these and turn these into sort of 30s, 40s ones. There's these kind of 60s. It's easier to get hold of 60s, 70s. I like that. A bonus basic pattern in half sizes. That one's really sweet. Most of these patterns are really disintegrated. That one I did my shirt pattern from, but I just like the artwork on them. These, you would have seen some of these before, but yeah, these are my kind of 50s and upwards. And there's an Anna Sui one that I got a long time ago in a charity shop. There's that. And then there are all like reproduction patterns, all like modern reproduction. And then I've got skirts and tops, so separate. Box down here, look, we've got a hat. So this is kind of accessories and sleepwear. So I bought this pattern. I've never used it, but I want to make like a loungewear thing. So this is kind of intimate apparel, loungewear, sleepwear, accessories, etc. Leopard print and gloss black. You cannot go wrong. So in here, which I'll show you in a minute, is bits of fabric for sort of accessories, and I really want to make a load of you know, project bags for my knitting projects. In here, which needs a sort out, ribbons, bits, so on. I've got more favourite fabrics. I've put them all, folded them all up, and these are mostly vintage, not all vintage, but those are all there. This actually goes on here. On the pattern cutting table is a skirt project, and this is for Patreon that I'm going to be working on for the rest of today once I've spoken to you, my lovelies, and shown you round. And then I have, so swing back round, and we are back to some more fabrics. This is another Patreon project. This is a vintage fabric. And here's some lining fabric that I'm going to use to line the thing that I'm making for here. So I spent literally 2 whole evenings going through all my old folders and sorting through everything, labelling them. These are all my vintage patterns in here. So maybe not the best way to store them, but that's where they are for the moment. And then these I haven't gone through, they all need to be sorted out, but I'm gonna do those as and when. These are all my patterns, my self-drafted patterns, and I've separated these into blouses, jackets, tops, skirts, dresses, accessories. This is lingerie, and yeah, I got rid of absolutely all of my wedding dress patterns that I had been making for the last however long, and there were 2 huge black bin bags full of patterns that have now gone. I will be sitting here filming, sewing, pattern cutting living my absolute best dream life. Doesn't get better than this. I still have a ton to do up here. There's still a lot of organising, but I feel like I've got sort of the bare bones sorted, and I can honestly say this is like the happiest space that I have ever known, that I've ever been in. I know that this is going to absolutely be a game changer because it's so organised, and being organised really does make a huge difference. And you, my lovelies, will be spending a lot of time in this room with me. I very much doubt that I'm ever going to leave it because it's just the most brilliant thing ever. I hope that you're going to enjoy spending time still in my cottage by the sea, but in a sewing room in a cottage by the sea. This really feels like the start of something really wonderful, and you know, a new chapter, really fresh and full of hope and wonderment. And I hope you're gonna come along for all the fun that I know we are gonna have. I hope you've enjoyed this sewing room tour and spending time with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy lives to spend time with me in this new space, and I hope you're going to enjoy it because I'm going to enjoy it. If you've had a lovely time spending time with me today in my brand spanking new sewing room, then please subscribe, because I love sharing my sewing journey with like-minded kindred spirits wherever you are in the world. I really hope you are keeping safe and well, and I cannot wait for next week when we'll have the first sewing tutorial in my sewing room. Take care, my lovelies. See you next time. Bye.